Alright, it says I'm live. If you guys can hear me, please let me know and we will start this. I see there's over 100 people already in here waiting, which is wild. Alright, let me pop the chat out, pull up the spreadsheet, and yeah. Alright, let me know if you guys can hear me and we will start. Let me mute my phone. Okay. You guys can hear me? Alright, what's up, Morning Tony? Who's all in here? Let's see. Dave's in here. What's up? Conscious, Chris. Chris says hit the like button. I agree. Really does help me out, guys. Andre's in here. What's up? Benny, Jeremy, Wyatt. I'm here, Cyber Soldier. Let's see. Dude's in here. What is up? What's up, Gilbert? What's up, Lisa? What's up, Dave? All right. I'm just going to let people roll in. Paper's in here. Andrew, Dustin. What is up, everybody? Just going to let a couple more people roll in and we will get talking. But I do like the way this slate is shaping up. I like how I like the dominators, like the place differential guys. I think there's a lot of ways we can go today. All right, what is up, everybody? Huevas says join your Patreon a few days ago. Awesome, appreciate that. Adam says raise your hand if you're swinging for the fence with Blaney and Reddick in almost every lineup. Well, not every lineup for me, but I do definitely have a lot of those guys. So seems like there's a lot of people in here. Everyone, hello. Josh has fresh shave, looking young. Yeah, I did. I was going to say I have a baby face right now. I shaved. It was getting too long. It was bothering me. So a little bit of a baby face today. Probably look 3 years younger. All right, so let me just, before I answer questions, let me just talk about who I think are going to be the chalk dominators today and then the GPP dominators. And then I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about place differential because you can just watch the video I posted like on Friday morning if you want that. But guys, the dominators I think are going to be very high on today. I think we're going to start off with Kevin. I'm just going to go by price. So Kevin Harvick, he's starting fifth, 11,300. He's going to be major chalk today. I don't think he's going to be the highest owned driver on the slate. I think Ryan Blaney and Eric Almirola will contend for that. But Kevin Harvick from the high price guys, he's going to be very high owned. He's just so good at Texas. It's absolutely insane. I mean, he's averaging over 32 DraftKings points more than anybody in the field here at Texas. He's got an average finish of 2.8. He has 3-1 odds in Vegas to win this race. I mean, we usually don't see odds like that for someone to win a race outright. So Kevin Harvick, I mean, if all goes well for him and there's no mechanical issues, he's probably going to win this race. And it would not surprise me if he led over 100 laps. I mean, we have, 334 laps. It would not surprise me at all if he comes out, scores over 100 DraftKings points. I mean, I know he's really expensive, but his price doesn't matter when he could honestly get over 100 DraftKings points. He's averaging nearly that already at 92.6. He's won 3 out of the past 6 races here. He makes a ton of sense. I think a lot of people are going to play him despite the high price tag. Also think Martin Truex Jr. will be decently high owned. I think he's going to be the 4th highest owned dominator outside of Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, and Eric Almirola. But I still think he's going to have ownership. He's super good at the 1.5 mile tracks. I mean, everyone knows that by now, but he was super good last week at Kentucky. He started in the rear, scored from 9th, and he still ended up honestly contending for the win at the end of the race. I know Cole Custer ended up stealing the race at the end, but it was pretty much Truex or Blaney's race to win. I know Kevin Harvick crept up there, but they were the best cars all day. I believe Truex was second in average green flag speed, and Ryan Blaney was first. So I think Truex speed is going to carry on over to this weekend, and I think starting 10th, he makes a lot of sense. He's pretty safe. You get 900 savings from Kevin Harvick, so I think Truex makes a lot of sense today. I also think Chase Elliott's going to have some ownership, but I don't think it's going to be as high as the 4 guys I mentioned prior. But I do think he will have some decent ownership. I still view him as more of a GPP play than I do cash. But for the mid-range dominators, Ryan Blaney and Eric Almirola are going to be very high owned today. And I think Ryan Blaney is going to end up being the highest owned driver on the slate. Looking at ownership projections, Ryan Blaney, from what I've seen, is projected to be the highest owned driver on the slate by a decent margin. I don't think he's going to get over 50% owned in the big tournaments today, but it would not surprise me if he's at least close to it. I think he's going to be at least 45% owned. It would not surprise me if he gets over 50, but I do expect him to be the highest owned driver today. He's been super good at the 1.5 mile tracks. He's been the best driver at them. He's been the fastest driver. He's first in average green flag speed at the 1.5s. He was first last week, and he was driving one-handed in the turns. And he was also first at Las Vegas, and they're using the same kind of tire combination that they did at Vegas and Kentucky, and Blaney was first in average green flag speed at both tracks, so he just makes a ton of sense today. He's really cheap. He's starting second. I know he's on the front row, so there's not much PD upside, but I don't really care because he's 8,900. If he was 10K plus, yeah, you got to think about it a little bit, but we're getting the best driver at 1.5 mile tracks at 8,900. I think there's a good chance we see 3 to 4 dominators today, and I think Ryan Blaney is going to be one of them. Then also Eric Almirola, he's 8,100. He is starting on the pole, and he's really good at Texas. Last year he led 62 laps and finished second, right behind teammate Kevin Harvick. And Almirola's been one of the hottest drivers in the series the past, 5-6 races. He's just been absolutely awesome. He's also pretty cheap. He led 128 laps last week. He was third in average green flag speed at Kentucky, and I think there's a good chance he can lead at least 50 laps today. I know there's a competition caution on lap 20, but if he can regain that lead, we have over 100 laps in stage 1. If he leads 100 laps, I don't care where he finishes, as long as it's inside the top 15. He should be a pretty good play. And yes, I have been getting quite a few questions if you can play Blaney and Almirola together, and I think the answer is yes. I mean, they've been both finishing in the top 5 a lot this season, but with 334 laps, there's enough laps for them to both lead a ton, and they're also pretty cheap. If they were both like 10K plus, I might shy away from it a little bit, but at these price tags for guys that can both get strong finishes and lead a lot of laps, I think it makes a lot of sense that you can play both, and I think a lot of people will be playing both. And I actually think a lot of people will be playing Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, and Eric Almirola together, and I think that's fine. I think it's totally fine because you're locking up your dominators, and then you still have enough money to spend on some place differential guys and some cheaper guys as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to. Oh, I guess that's it for the cash guys. For the GBP dominators, I mentioned Chase Elliott. I do think he's going to have some decent ownership, but I still think he's more of a GBP option. He's great at the 1.5 mile tracks, but he had an absolute garbage finish last week at Kentucky. He was one of the stronger cars early on. He was second, right behind Eric Almirola, and was giving him a run for the lead, but just couldn't pass him. Then he got filtered back, and then he finished outside the top 20. I think that's more of a fluke than anything. I mean, I think he's going to be fine. And then you can look at guys like Keselowski, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch. Now, the ownership projections I'm looking at actually have Kyle Busch pretty high owned, but I honestly think they're off. I don't think Kyle Busch is going to be that chalky today. I know he won both races, the Xfinity race and the truck race over this weekend, although he did get disqualified from the Xfinity race. But, I mean, you could say it's like a little bit of a practice for Kyle Busch, but it's not like it's the exact same car, so you really can't say it's too much of a practice. But I will say Kyle Busch is good at Texas, but this season he's had zero speed at the 1.5 mile tracks. And last weekend at Kentucky, one of his best tracks on the series, arguably maybe his best, the guy led 9 laps and got passed by Eric Almirola early on. He's also 13th in average green flag speed at the 1.5 mile tracks this season. He's been absolute garbage at them, and I just can't see him holding off Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, Truex, those kind of guys. So I know he's cheap, and it makes it a nice fit in your lineups, but I just have a hard time seeing Busch lead laps today. He has not proved himself this season at these types of tracks. The only tracks that he's ran really well at is Bristol, and it's a whole different aero package anyway. So I just can't really trust Kyle Busch here. There's no PD upside, and he just doesn't have as good of a car as Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, and those kind of guys. So it's just hard to justify playing him today. I mean, Christopher Bell is starting 33rd. I think there's a good chance he can outscore Kyle Busch today, and Jimmy Johnson as well. And I think Logano's also a solid option too. He's only 200 more. He's starting 9th. You get more PD upside, and he's overall been better this season and faster. So, and I think that's pretty much it for the Dominator. So I think we can just probably answer questions. You guys get the PD plays, I think, by now, and the cheap options. I already mentioned that in my video on Friday. So if you guys don't know yet, you can look at that. But I guess we'll answer some questions now. I think my voice just cracked. Let me see how many people are in here. So if you guys have questions, ask them now, and I'm going to scroll up, and hopefully I can get to all of them. About 300 people. Absolutely awesome. I do appreciate everyone stopping by. So I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to pick a random spot. So if I didn't answer your question, just ask it again, and then we'll see. All right, let's see. I'm going to scroll all the way up. And let's see. Chris says lots of money on the line today, my man. Hopefully it's a good one. Hope so, too. I really hope so, too. Let's see. Jeremy says cash options. Well, I probably answered that when I was talking, but guys like Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick are probably where you're looking for your dominators in cash. Place differential, you can look at guys like Tyler Reddick, Clint Boyer, Austin Dillon, those kind of guys, but you probably already got it when I was talking. Jeremy says, McDowell, bad play with Bubba, still mad. Well, you could have said the same thing about Joey Logano and Chase Elliott for like a long time now since Bristol. Nothing's really happened. I know Joey Logano threw a block on Chase Elliott, but it's not like he wrecked him out. So I really don't think I'm going to be too concerned about fading McDowell just because Bubba Wallace is still mad at him. That's not something I can really project. So not something I'm going to factor today. What's up, Roger? What's up, Landon? Let's see. Casey's clocking in. Yep. Welcome in. All right. Philly Joe says, I'm liking Eric Jones a lot. Maybe a sneaky Kenseth. What do you think, Chris? I like Eric Jones quite a bit. I actually didn't mention him, but You guys know I'm a leader of the Erik Jones and Ryan Blaney fan club. Ryan Blaney's done his part this season. He's made the most optimal lineups at 8. Erik Jones, he is a big wild card, but he is very, very good at Texas. He has 3 top 5s here the past 6 races. He's made 3 optimal lineups here the past 6 races, and he's got an average finish inside the top 10. It's just at the 1.5 mile tracks this season, he's ran well, but the results are not there. I mean, if we just look at the 2020 1.5 mile tracks this season for Erik Jones, he's got an average rank position of 16.7, average finish of 22nd, 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s, and only 1 top 20. So he has not had very good luck at the 1.5s. Now, he has ran well here, not here exactly, but at the 1.5 mile tracks this season pretty well for the most part. It's just he ends up getting screwed, blown tire, loose wheel, something. So he's a wild card, but I do think he's a good option. They did price him up a little bit this week, though. Good morning, Kelly. Jeremy says, how's Kyle since he won the Xfinity race and the truck race? Well, I would expect Kyle Busch to win the Xfinity and truck race. I mean, if he got second place, we'd consider it a bad day. I mean, he was an actual, favorite heading into the race. We don't usually see that. Like Kevin Harvick today, plus 300. I mean, he's a big favorite. But at the Xfinity race, he was, literally minus 132 or something. I mean, I would expect him to win that race, but he's driving against much different drivers today. There's no Kevin Harvick and guys like that in the Xfinity series. All right, let's see. Kay says, so my locks are Bell and Harvick. Who should be my third? I mean, Blaney is an excellent option. I think you got to play. I mean, you don't have to play Blaney or Almirola today, but I think most of your lineup should at least have one of those guys, if not both, but at least one of Almirola or Blaney today. You want to lock up those early dominator points before Kevin Harvick probably comes in and leads a lot of laps and wins the race. Benny says, Almirola beats Blaney off the line. Harvick catches him in stage 2. Certainly could happen. I mean, I think all 3 of those guys are going to lead laps today. What's up, Rick? Michael says, do you believe Kyle Busch gained any upside by racing in the Xfinity race yesterday? I mean, it's not something I'm really yeah, I mean, at least he got used to the track, but it is a different car now. They're not using the exact same car, and he's driving against much better drivers, but, I mean, it doesn't hurt, to have at least some laps at the track. But it's not something that's making me oh yeah, I got to play a bunch of Kyle Busch today, Padave says Jones will crash in the last stage. Always a good chance of that. Jones loves crashing. Let's see. Chris says I started early. I started right at 12. Let's see. KT says, would you put Almirola and Blaney in the same lineup? I would. I'm going to have plenty of lineups like that. I know quite a few people don't like stacking 1-2, but also remember that at Phoenix, Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick started 1-2, and they were over 10K plus, if I remember correctly, both of them, and they're much more expensive than Blaney and Almirola, and they both made the optimal lineup, so it's not like guys that start 1-2 can't both make the optimal. And at Texas, the past 2 races, guys starting inside the top 12 have, a lot of them have made the optimal lineup. I think in the spring race at Texas last year, 5 guys starting inside the top 12 made the optimal lineup, and 4 guys starting inside the top 6, I believe, at least the top 7. Then the last race, there was 4 guys in the top 12. So guys that start up front typically have a good chance of making the optimal lineup here at Texas. Let's see. David says, Harvick, Joey, and Brad for my big 3 core. I'm not too high on Joey and Brad today, but, I mean, I think they're decent options. I prefer Joey over Brad, but definitely like Harvick. Zondas says, in cash, would you rather have Almirola Johnson or Bell Reddick? With both of those options, I already have Blaney and Harvick. Which combo would you prefer for cash? Whew. Well, it's just, if Almirola leads, say he leads 50 to 100 laps early on. Just say he runs away with the field early on. He's got that clean air. He wins, whatever happens on pit road for the competition caution. If you don't have him in cash because he's going to be high owned, you're probably going to be dead. So I'm going to roll with Almirola and Johnson just because if Almirola comes out, leads a ton of laps early on, and you don't have him in cash games and he's going to be really high owned, you're done. So I would roll with Almirola. I feel a little bit safer with that. Gerald says, I have 5 lines and 100% Blaney. I can never recommend going 100% on somebody, but I do like Blaney quite a bit today. Matthew says, give me Truex, Elliott, Blaney. I like all 3 of those guys. Brian says Erik for the win today. I'd be surprised if he wins, but this is a good track for him. I think another top 5 is definitely possible today for Erik, but I do think he will lead some laps. Juan says, best cash core for Fan. I don't play FanDuel, so I'm sorry. I can't answer that question. What's up, Max? Big Gritter says, do you like Harvick and Truex together? I mean, you can. It's just that's a lot of salary to play, and you can do it. I don't hate it. It's just it's a lot of salary, but it's fine. Two of those guys are both potentially can lead laps today and potentially win the race. Let's see. Oops, my chat went all the way down, so I apologize if I missed your question right around there. I'm gonna try to scroll up, but let's see. Okay, Dustin says, how high will Harvick be owned in cash? In cash, he's. I don't know. Really, I'm not sure how to gauge cash ownership. I pretty much just play GPP for NASCAR, but in cash, I would assume Kevin Harvick's gonna be top 3 in ownership, just because if there's a good chance he could score 100 points today, for being honest. Paul says, Nemechek thoughts? I like Nemechek. He is starting 28th. He's 6,000. He's got an average finish right around 20th at the 1.5s this season, so I think he's okay. I mean, he's 6K. I definitely have a good amount of ownership on Nemechek today. Elena says, I'm ready for today's race. Go Chase. I mean, Chase got a chance today. He's one of the best cars at 1.5 mile tracks. G. Faust says, hit the like button. I agree. Really appreciate everyone that does. Let's see. Nicholas says, MDB, lowest owned driver. I don't think he's going to be the lowest owned driver. I think guys like Stenhouse and Bubba Wallace at 7K at starting 13th or 14th. I mean, they could be the lowest owned drivers today. I mean, not talking about the scrubs like McLeod, Sorensen, Timmy Hill, but I could see Wallace and Stenhouse being the lowest owned, if we're being honest. Let's see. Leroy says Blaney or Eric. Well, if I just had to pick one, I will go with Blaney, but both are good options. But I would side with Blaney because I think overall he's got the better car. Let's see. Ellis says Ty Dillon or Nemechek, GPP. I'll go with Nemechek. Well, is salary not an issue? Because 6,700 compared to 6K. Well, I guess if salary's not an issue, I'll go with Ty Dillon. But if it is, I think better value plays probably Nemechek there. Let's see. King Page says, I think Kyle used practice to tune up his car accordingly to the track, so I don't think yesterday's Xfinity race can be considered practice for him. That's kind of like my thoughts. It's not something I can really. It's not like he was driving his 18 car that he's going to today. Casey says your lowest owned dominators. That's big dog driver. I guess my lowest is probably gonna be. It's probably gonna be either Keselowski or Busch. I'm just not like super high on those guys today. Like I like Joey, I like Elliott, Truex, Hamlin, Harvick. It's just I can't really see myself playing too much Keselowski today. Not too much. Pecan Pie says any bad plays / drivers at this. Well, there's quite a few bad plays. I mean, there's just some guys that I'm not going to touch, like Bubba Wallace or Stenhouse, those kind of guys. But there's not like really anyone that's like absolutely not going to play him. Dustin says McDowell or Nemechek. I'll go with McDowell there just because he's starting 34th. Eric says best cheap option McDowell, Nemechek, Ty Dillon. I'll go with McDowell right there. What's up, Baldy? Clarence says drivers never play together. Not totally sure what you mean there. Do you mean like is there guys we shouldn't play in the same lineup together? Glenn says Jimmy Johnson. If you're asking about Jimmy Johnson, I think he's a good play today. He's been really good at the 1.5 mile tracks this season. Average finish inside the top 10. He got spun out last week when he was in 3rd place, so I think he's going to be fine. He's a little expensive, but he's a good option. Josh has thoughts on Keselowski and Hamlin for tournaments. Definitely some tournament options there. I don't think a lot of people are going to go to either. I think, everyone's going to be playing Kevin Harvick, and I think a lot of people are going to be playing Truex and Hamlin sandwiched right in between them. So it's going to be hard to fit in Hamlin with a guy like Truex and Harvick. So I think Hamlin's going to be pretty low on, but he's been great this season. I know his history doesn't look great at Texas, but he's also had a couple of issues, and he is a recent winner here. So I think Hamlin's fine if you want to if you want to pivot off of Kevin Harvick. As for Keselowski, I'm not too excited about Keselowski today. He's had a fast car all season. He's been good at the 1.5 mile tracks, but something's just telling me not to play too much Keselowski today. I'd prefer Logano starting 9th, and I'd prefer Elliott starting 8th, just for a couple hundred more or less. Let's see. Wyatt says playing any Newman for salary relief. I'll probably have like 5-ish% Newman, but not someone I'm like really excited to play today. It's just starting really high up. Dimitri says it's been Custer and Bell winning in the lineup lately, if anyone noticed. Well, Bell's only been in about 3 or 4 optimal lineups so far this season. He's been doing well, but the other high-priced guys have been outperforming him just point per dollar. But they finally priced him down to 9,100, so he's definitely playable today. Like when he was 11K plus, I just can't justify playing him over guys like Harvick, Hamlin, etc. But now at 9,100, he becomes fully in play. And yeah, Custer absolutely balled out. I mean, he won the race last week and he crushed. And the only problem is now you got a price bump at 7,400. He's usually in that 6K range, and he's starting near 30th. Now he is starting 19th at 7,400, so it's a little bit iffy, but Daniel Suarez, the car that Cole Custer is in now, Daniel Suarez was in, it performed pretty well at Texas, so I think Cole Custer should have a decent day, should contend for a top 15. Jay says, how's the weather today? Like nearly 100 degrees and a 1% chance of rain, so it's going to be a hot, slick track. Chris says, Johnson and Nemechek or Jones and McDowell? I'll go Jones and McDowell there. Robbie says, what's going on? What's going on, Robbie? Sincere says, do you think Kyle Busch has momentum today, winning last night? Maybe he listened and had that Snickers bar. Him winning a truck race and an Xfinity race doesn't like get me too pumped up for him in a Cup Series race. It's much different, much different. There's no guys like Harvick, Truex, Elliott in the Xfinity Series. I'd hope he'd be able to win each race he drives in Xfinity and truck. Michael says, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, or Almirola, Eric Jones. I'll go with Almirola, Eric Jones, just because I want that Dominator. Chase says, Chase P in the building. What's up, Chase? Leroy says, Elliott or Blaney. I would say Blaney because he's only 8,900. Elliott's 10K, so it's not really I wouldn't really say it's a good 1v1 question. Maybe it's a better 2v2 question because of the price difference. But Blaney's the better point per dollar option. What's up, Born? Welcome in. Matt says JJ or Jones in cash. You'll probably hate me, but I think you go Jones there. As rough as that sounds for cash. He's starting 3 spots further back. He's been pretty good at Texas. But so is Jimmy Johnson, but give me the extra 3 spots. A little bit cheaper. King Pate says Austin Dillon or McDowell GPP. I'll go with Austin Dillon. Dillon's got an average finish inside the top 10 at the 1.5s this season. I mean, that's pretty incredible, honestly, at 6,900. Contra says, will Harvick be highest owned in your projection? I don't project ownership, but I mean, in my projections, he's my highest projected driver. I mean, I think if Harvick's not your highest projected driver this week, I think you're probably doing something wrong. Tim says, well, can I answer that? Kyle says, how many cautions are you projecting since it's so hot? Do you think it will help drivers in the back? If you're trying to make a point maybe to play drivers in the back, not really. Do you mean like the scrubs? I'm still not touching the scrubs. I really don't think it's going to be a wreck fest today. It's just your 1.5 mile track. Shouldn't be anything too crazy out there. Podave says Harvick will be highest on the slate. I think it's going to be Blaney, but I think Harvick, Blaney, Almirola probably will be the top 3 today. But really anyone's guess if it's going to be Harvick or Blaney. But Harvick at 11,300, I can just see more people plugging in Blaney than Harvick on average. So they'll be close though. Wouldn't Ryan Blaney have to win or lead a lot of laps to hit value? I mean, he's only 8,900, but it's something he's been doing. I mean, he's been the best car at 1.5 mile tracks this season. I mean, he's an excellent option. And if we're looking at his average running position at the 1.5 mile tracks this season, it's 5.9. He's got 4 top 5s, and there's been 6 1.5 mile tracks this season. 4 out of the 6 times he's finished inside the top 5, which is the most of any driver. That's more than Kevin Harvick, Hamlin, Truex. I mean, he's been the best driver at the 1.5s this season. He's averaging the most DraftKings points per race. I have a lot of confidence in Blaney today. A lot of confidence. Jim says, thoughts on Hamlin? Hamlin is a pivot off of Harvick. I don't feel as confident in Hamlin as Harvick. If you're looking at his average green flag speed numbers at the 1.5s this season, it's not been that great. So I'm not too confident in Hamlin today. I mean, he's been one of the best drivers this year, but just if I can find 500 more to get Harvick, I'd feel much better with Harvick. You're welcome, Michael. I don't know what I did, but you're welcome. Let's see. Pinto says, Chris, what's your best play under 67,000? Harvick. I don't know what you mean. 6,700. I'll just go with McDowell there. He's starting 34th. I know he kind of cooled off last race, but under 6,700, I think he's your best bet. Chris says Busch or Logano straight up. I think Busch would be sneaky, but if he's carrying 25, I'd go with Joey there. I feel better with Joey. I do. And he's starting a little bit further back. He's ran well at Texas, too. Bourne says Blaney is something special. For real, I mean, Blaney's been incredible this season, and he's just he's just way underpriced. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, Blaney honestly could be a 10K plus driver. Michael says, is McDowell a safer, better play than Austin Dillon? I would go with Austin Dillon there. Now, I don't love trusting Austin Dillon, but if you look at his numbers with the 1.5s this season, which I think you guys can see on the screen, he's averaging 40 DraftKings points per race at these with an average finish of 9.7. Compare that to McDowell, averaged 22.6 DraftKings points per race with an average finish of 23.8. Dillon's got a pretty high ceiling today. Let's see. Cuevas, I think that's how you say your name. I apologize if not. Stacking teams like Stewart Haas Racing any good? For sure. I mean, Stewart Haas has been pretty good at Texas. I mean, Almirola, you got Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Cole Custer. Not like overly excited about Cole Custer today, but you can play all four of those guys for sure, especially Almirola and Harvick. Kellen says, did you like the underglow for the All-Star race? I did not. I think they really messed that up. They should have had it underneath the entire car. I don't know why they just had it in the back. And I also thought the colors were going to match the paint scheme. Like if Kyle Busch has got a yellow car, like a yellow paint, underglow would be really cool. Kurt Busch with a green underglow and that black and green trim car would look pretty nice. You know, I just think they messed up. Like, I don't forget what they had. I forget what the colors were, but like orange on the... Oh, I forget who it was, but it just didn't look that great. Like orange on a blue car, it just didn't match up, and it's only in the back. So I wasn't really a big fan. Dave says, do you think Bubba spins McDowell? I wish I knew. I wish I knew, but I do not know that. I don't know what's in Bubba's head today. Jim says, what 3 Doms would you go with? I mean, I think the chalk safe options would be Blaney, Harvick, and Almirola today. Powell says, thanks for the videos. I'm winning more money from your videos on Patreon. Ready for... Oh, awesome. Appreciate that. Chris says, cash game, Boyer, Nemechek, or Austin, Dillon, McDowell. Other guys are Harvick, Blaney, Almirola, and Reddick. Whew. I'm going to go with Dillon McDowell. I feel like Boyer's got a decently high ceiling, and I like his price tag, but I don't know. Austin Dillon's been really good at the 1.5s this season. Like Clint Boyer at the 1.5s, he's got an average running position of 16.3. Austin Dillon's at 12.5. I don't know. I just feel a little bit better with the Dillon McDowell there. Rep says, thoughts on Bell? I think Bell's a really good play today. He's one of the safer plays on the board. Starting 33rd, should contend for a top 15. His price came down about 2K. I think he's a good option today. James says, will the weather have any impact on the race? I hope not. It's supposed to be nice and sunny there, so should be no rain. Michael says, this is the race for Kyle Busch at low ownership since he's not ran well lately. I'm going to play some Kyle Busch, but I just have no confidence in him. I mean, the guy's just been so slow. 13th in average green flag speed, I think, at the 1.5s. It's pretty trash. Hard to trust him. I do like the price tag, though. Adrian says, John Hunter Nemechek. I think John Hunter Nemechek is a very good option. My chat just went all the way down, so hold on. Going back up. Going back up. Man, you guys have a lot of questions today. Nice to see a lot of people in the chat, though. Oh, man. Okay, I think I found where I am. I'm just going to check how many people are in here. About 360. That's awesome. Okay. Mad Dog says, along with Blaney, Almirola, and Harvick, do you like Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, and Reddick, or should I replace Ty with McDowell? I mean, I like that lineup, but Ty versus McDowell is a really tough fight. I mean, McDowell's starting 4 spots further back. I mean, if you're looking at the 21.5 mile tracks this season, they have similar numbers. McDowell's actually got a better average running position, so I guess you could take the 4 spots further back and go with McDowell there. So, Nicholas says Stewart Haas Racing stack for the win. I mean, they're all good options. I have no problem with either one. I'm going to have ownership on all of them. Lowest will be Cole Custer, though. Baldy says Almirola, Blaney, Harvick, Nemechek, Bow, McDowell look okay. Looks good to me. You got some PD upside there, and you got 3 Dominators. Don't mind that at all. Cody says, who's your favorite Gibbs car today? I'll go Truex. Ninja says Blaney, McDowell, or Eric Jones, Austin Dillon. I'm going to go with Blaney McDowell just because I know Eric Jones got some place differential upside, but if Blaney leads a lot of laps today, he can easily outscore Eric Jones, which I think there's a good chance if Blaney leads a lot of laps. So I'll roll with Blaney there, even though you already have 2 other Dominators. It's just his upside's really high today. Which Eric Jones, I think there's a very, very slim chance he comes out and leads laps today, which Ryan Blaney's got one of the best chances in the field. Rep says favorite Dillon, Austin Dillon for me. Joe says thoughts on John Hunter Nemechek. Had a top 15 at Charlotte, top 20, 600, both on lead lap. Positive. Yeah, I like John Hunter Nemechek today. He's actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite, cheap option, which I was going to say the 6K range, but I really like Austin Dillon. So Nemechek's like my favorite guy below the McDowell. The McDowell. Below McDowell. Chase says, hey everyone, PD or Dominator is more important in this one. I mean, they're both important, but we have 334 laps, which means there's 250.5 Dominator points available. So if you don't have Dominators in your lineup, you're going to lose because you need some Dominators. They're both important. It's just you got to get at least 2 to 3 Dominators in your lineups. Wes says, favorite lower-owned Dominator and place differential. Lower-owned? I mean, does Chase Elliott count as lower-owned or Truex? I don't know if they count as lower-owned, but they're lower-owned than Harvick, Blaney, and Almirola. So, I mean, I guess if you're not playing those 3 guys, I like Truex, Elliott. If you want to go even lower-owned than that, I don't mind Joey Logano or Hamlin. Then for place differential, lower-owned, I mean, I think they're all going to be decently high, but someone that could go a little under the radar is William Byron. I think he'd be somewhat interesting, so I hope that helps. BVB says, Jimmy Johnson thoughts. I think Jimmy Johnson's a good play today. He should contend for a top 10. He's been fast this season. He's got an average finish inside the top 10 at the 1.5s. Should be a fun play. Ryan says, what's up, Chris? What's up, Ryan? Super Pete says, has everyone hit the like button? Probably not, but I do appreciate everyone that does leave likes. It does help me out in the YouTube algo, however that works. Adris says, thoughts on Boyer. Boyer's fine today. I'm not super excited about Boyer, but the thing is I did drop his price to $7,700. He's been sitting in around that 9K range, so I do like the discount we're getting on him. But I will say at the 1.5s this season, he's not been that great. Now, I know he led some laps at Atlanta, but he has no top 10s, 3 top 15s, which isn't too bad. He's going to contend for a top 15 here, but you got guys like Tyler Reddick in 24th, who's been better at the 1.5s this season. He's got more PD upside, and I mean, Boyer's fine. I'm going to be playing Boyer today. But it's just he's not it's like he's not like some lock. But I like the price too. Daniel says, Almirola, Logano, or Hamlin, which do you think will lead more laps? I think Almirola will. I mean, he's got the best chance. He's already on the pole. He's been hot. He was great last weekend at Kentucky. There's a good chance he could lead a lot of laps in the first stage. Hopefully, he keeps the lead after the 20-lap competition caution. Hopefully. Or unless it's Blaney. If it's Blaney, I'll be even happier, but I'm hoping it's Almirola. Or Blaney, one of the two. Or Harvick. Let's see. Andrew says, thoughts on LaJoy. LaJoy's fine. He's starting 36th. He's going to move up. He's going to contend for a top 30. He's like a 25th to 30th place car. I mean, he's fine. He can honestly contend for top 20 as well, but he's okay. David Morrison just signed up on Patreon. Appreciate that. Sorry, I just saw the email. Ryan says, can this be a war of attrition with the hot track here in Texas? I really don't think it's going to be a wreck fest. I mean, it's going to be slick, but I don't think it's going to be like anything too crazy. Garrett says, who wins the race today? Don't say Harvick, but it's going to be Harvick most likely. If it's not Harvick, I think it's going to be Blaney or Truex, to be honest. Dom says, would you play for salary savings Austin Dillon McDowell? Yeah, I'd play both of those guys. If I had to pick one, I'd go Austin Dillon, but I like both. Boldy says, Kyle's Cup car has had issues all year. Don't know why that would stop now. I agree. I mean, he's just been so slow. I don't know what's going to really happen overnight today, or last night, that would have made it magically faster. Unless they nailed the setup today, but I don't know. It hasn't proved it yet. Michael says, do you think a 2-Dominator build is fine for cash, Harvick, Blaney, or do you need 3 Dominators at this track? I mean, a lot of my lineups will have a Harvick, Blaney, Almirola builds, but in cash, if you want to go just 2 Dominators and get your place differential guys, I think that's fine too. BE says, Buscher or Austin Dillon? Give me Austin Dillon there. He's starting further back in the pack. Ryan says, Hamlin? Are you asking me about Hamlin? He's a nice pivot off of Harvick, but I don't feel that great about it. Kyle says, thoughts on a Stewart Haas stack? I like that a lot. You get Custer, you get Boyer, Almirola, Kevin Harvick. All good options today, in my opinion, so I don't mind that stack at all. Matt says, biggest sleeper for today? Biggest sleeper? Like to win the race? or just for DF. I mean, to win the race. I mean, I don't think anyone's really talking about Logano, Keselowski. So I mean, you could look at those guys for sleepers, but I really think it's going to be like a Harvick, Truex, Blaney today, really. Matt says Elliott, LaJoy, or Byron Almirola and Cash. I'll go with the Byron Almirola there. Jack says, why is Almirola so fast and doing good all of a sudden? I don't know. I think he borrowed some of Kevin Harvick's secret sauce. I mean, he's just been so good, but there's no reason to believe his speed's going to be gone. I mean, he was third in average green flag speed last week at Kentucky. He looked great. I don't think that's going to just disappear, so I would ride the hot hand. But I don't know why. Just all of a sudden, he was just like, boom, really good. Greg's, I mean, he's always been a solid driver, but he's never been like this level that he's been doing the past month or so. Greg says Almirola and Blaney. I think that's totally fine. Two of my favorite plays on the slate. Max says Beller, Blaney, and Cash, assuming I'm playing Almirola already. And Bell's a really safe play. It's just I really like the upside today with Blaney. I think Blaney might be the highest owned driver today, so in cash games, I'd probably want to stick Blaney in there just to eat the ownership. Because if he comes out, leads, I don't know, 50, 100 laps and gets a top 5, you're going to really wish you had him in cash, even if Bell gets like a top 15 today. Eric says, Chris, thanks for all the content. The Patreon sub has paid off 10x. Awesome. Appreciate that, Eric. Pecan Pie says, who do you think is going to replace Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car next season? I really don't know. There's been rumors of Brad Keselowski, but we'll see. I have no idea, to be honest. It's going to be weird not seeing Jimmy Johnson in the 48, though. That's going to take a while to get used to. Steven says, McDowell or Austin Dillon. I will go with Austin Dillon there. Michael says, I know if I fade Kyle Busch, he's going to ball out with the low ownership. For sure. I made the joke. I said, since everyone's tired of Kyle Busch, they're finally done with him, he's going to come out and lead 300 laps today or something. That's just how it works, right? Conscious says Brad will be the 48. Could certainly see that happening. Tony says projection for Bell. I mean, there's a good chance he scores like 45, 50 points today. With the upside of more. Hunter says Bell or Jones. Oh, if price isn't an issue, give me Bell. Just because he's starting 33rd. Rob says Reddick and A. Dillon or Almirola and McDowell for cash. I think playing Almirola is a really smart choice in cash today because, again, if he leads a bunch of laps early on, you're dead if you don't have him. So just give me the Almirola and McDowell. Let's see. Garrett says, can you touch on Custer a bit? Custer's fine. He's like a top 15 kind of guy. The problem is he's starting 19th at 7,400. And it's, I don't know. I mean, the 41 car here was good at Texas. It's just, there's just not too much upside with him. His numbers are going to be skewed a little bit, averaging 40 DraftKings points per race now since he won the last race. It's just, he's got an average running position at these types of tracks of 21. Now, he has been running pretty well lately, and he has finished inside the top 20, I believe, all but one race. Yeah, he's got 5 top 20s and 6 tries. He's good. It's just, his upside's limited now that his price is up and he's starting higher than he usually does. Because he was in that like 25th through 40th or 36th starting spots. Now he moved up. Baldy says Di Benedetto will move to the number 2 probably. I mean, it's going to be weird. Car changes are always weird to me. It always throws me off at the beginning of the year. Daniel says Brad is close to a deal with Penske. I like Brad in the number 2 car, so I'm hoping he stays there. I don't know. It's just normal to me. Plus, he's got some pretty cool paint schemes. That car usually looks pretty good. Tita says, have a decent amount of Harvick, Truex, or Chase in lineups. Is that too much salary? I mean, it's a lot of salary, but I think they're going to be good today. And if they lose all laps and finish top 5, I mean, who cares? I mean, I know Harvick's really expensive, which might not be the best value play, but if he comes out and scores 100 points, who cares? He's going to go nearly 10x. Michael says, I miss 5K McDowell. Me too. It was really fun just plugging him in and not worrying about your lineup. No longer the case, but I think DraftKings did a good job with their prices. Dawson says, a Harvick has to be in the optimal today, right? I feel like if you go Truex and Chase over him, you have no chance. Well, I wouldn't say you have no chance. I mean, there's been no practice, so wild things have happened, but he's been in the optimal lineup, I think, 3 or 4 out of the past 6 races here. I mean, he's just so good at Texas. I would be shocked today if he's not the highest scoring driver on the slate and make the optimal. But you definitely want some lineups where you pivot off of Harvick to Truex and that, just in case, because they're good plays too. Chris says, can't lie, I'm getting scared off of Kyle Busch. I liked him a lot because I thought everybody had given up on him, and it looks like he's getting ownership. But it looks like he's getting ownership. If that's the case, I'd rather take Logano. Yeah, I was looking at some ownership projections, and he's actually really, really high, which I don't think will be the case, but if he is, I feel comfortable being underweight because if a lot of that ownership's just because of what happened yesterday, I mean, I think that's kind of dumb because it's not the same thing. And he's just been so slow this season, so slow. I mean, eventually, he's going to come out and do well. It's just, give me Bell at 9,100, showing 33rd. I mean, he's a much safer play. Alan says, thoughts on Byron pivot off of Jones? I think that's totally fine. Totally fine. I like Byron today. David says, Priest or J.J. Yaley. Never played J.J. Yaley. I'm going to go with Priest there. Dion says, Johnson or Bell. I'll go with Bell because he's starting 13 spots further back. Sarah says, hey, what's up, Sarah? Thoughts on LaJoy? I think LaJoy is actually a pretty safe, solid play. He's starting 36. He's going to move up unless he wrecks. There's really not much downside with LaJoy. Jeremy says, Brad's response to retirement rumor. If it's on the internet, it must be true. Yeah, I can't see him retiring. William says, LaJoy or Nemechek. I think Nemechek's got a higher finishing potential ceiling. I'll go with Nemechek there. Ninja says, Eric Jones and Eric Almirola or Blaney Reddick? Whew. That's a really good question. Really good question. I'm going to go with Blaney Reddick there, though. Just because Blaney's been awesome, Reddick's been great at the 1.5s. Jones gets a little bit unlucky. I'll go with Blaney Reddick there. It's a really good question. Dude says Priest and Reddick or Bell or Ty Dillon and Reddick. Okay, so Priest and either Reddick or Bell or Ty Dillon and Reddick. I'm not big on Priest today, so I'm going to go with Dillon and Reddick there just because I don't really like Priest too much. Nicholas says GPP, Truex, Elliott, Eric, McDowell, and Nemechek. That's fine. I think you're missing someone, though. It's only 5 drivers, so I think you missed someone. Wyatt says, how you feeling about Boyer? Boyer's fine. I like the... Whoops, my email just popped up. I like the price range he's in. It's just he's not been amazing at the 1.5s, but he should contend for a top 15 here at a price tag we haven't seen him at in at least a while. Eric says, Austin, Dillon, Priest, or Busch or John or Nemechek. Give me the Dillon Priest there. Hunter says Truex plus Yaley versus Bell and Nemechek. Give me the Bell and Nemechek there. I don't want to play Yaley today. James says percent of crashes at this track. I don't have that pulled up, so I don't want to just throw out a random number and act like I know what I'm saying. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to look that up. Cameron says, is 40% exposure too low? It's fine, but I can see him being over 40%. And if you really like Harvick today, I wouldn't want to be underweight in the field. So someone just told me Elliott to the rear in my Discord chat. If that's true, or I don't think he's lying, but if you guys can confirm that for me in the chat, please let me know. Because it wouldn't change too much, but I would, because I didn't think he had the best chance of dominating today, and now that he'd be in the back, obviously it's going to hurt his chances. I don't think he's going to be as strong as Truex was at Kentucky, but I would definitely lower some exposure on him. You don't full fade. You learned that from last week with Truex, but if you guys can confirm that for me, please let me know. I'm going to scroll down really quick just to see if anyone else is saying that. Okay, apparently not, but anyway, I'm going to scroll back up. Let's see. Newman, LaJoy, or Nemechek. Choose one, thanks. I'm going to roll with Nemechek there. I think he's got the highest ceiling of the bunch. Just from where he's starting, and because LaJoy, he's starting 36. It's just, I can see Nemechek getting a top 20. I can't really see LaJoy getting that. And then Newman starting pretty high up. Yeah, I don't play FanDuel, guys, so I can't really answer a FanDuel question. I do apologize. I'm only Draftkings here, but if someone wants to help him out in the chat, feel free to do so. Conscious says, why is Newman only 6,300, not good on 1.5 mile tracks? It's because he's starting really high up. Like 6,300, I believe, starting 15th. So far this season, he got an average running position of 20.7 at these, average finish of 21.2. Probably going to move back, and there's just better PD plays. King says, who is the fade of the day for you? It's Harvick and Hamlin for me. Pray for me. You're fading Harvick and Hamlin today? That's a scary world to be in. I'm going to have a lot of Harvick, but a fade for me today? Like, if you mean like a guy up top, I can't really see myself having too much Keselowski or Busch today, so. Sarah says thoughts on Johnson. Johnson's a good play. I mean, he should contend for a top 10. If you're looking at his numbers on the screen, he's got an average finish inside the top 10, averaging nearly 50 DraftKings points per race with these 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. He's a good play. Ryan says 4 lineups, pivot for Almirola, Boyer, or Reddick. If you want to pivot off of Almirola, I'd go with Reddick there. I think he's got more upside. You're welcome, Pinto. Albert says 3-man GPP, Harvick, Blaney, Almirola, Nemechek, and Reddick. Suggestions for the last driver? I don't know how much salary you have. How much salary do you have left? And I'll try to help you out. Daniel says he agrees on the lights. Yeah, they really screwed up the lights. I mean, what were they thinking with the manufacturing? Like, lining it up with manufacturers? It just looked pretty ugly, to be honest. It would have looked so much cooler if they just matched the paint schemes and then, or at least made like a nice complement from the paint scheme. I think they messed that up. Kyle says, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Am I wiggling? Is that what you mean? I tend to move around a lot. Let's see. Andrew May says, who's the better play, Bilicki at 3K or Hamlin at 10,800? Definitely Bilicki there. Definitely Bilicki. Garrett says, you love McDowell today? I don't really love McDowell, but like versus guys like Suarez and Ty Dillon, I prefer McDowell, but I'm not that high on him. I'd prefer Austin Dillon in that price range. Let's see. Dave says, do you think this is a good chalk? Well, you didn't say anything else, but I don't know if you asked something, but okay. Let's see. Black Power Ranger says, appreciate you, Brody. Thank you for watching. Thanks. Appreciate that. Andrew says, Garrett Smithley is going to win with Yelly coming in second. For sure. For sure. All in on Bilicki. Let's see. Casey Brown says, friendly reminder that the Lawnmower Man was third in both Texas races last year. Yeah, and Cole Custer's in that car now, so I do think Cole Custer has decent potential today. It's just I don't like that his price moved up and where he's starting, but I think Custer is decent for tournaments because I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing him today. Let me make sure my camera didn't go out of focus. Okay, I don't think so. All right, let me pop the chat back up. How many people are in here? All right, so it's 12:47, so we'll probably go another 10 to 15 minutes. Over 400 people? You guys are crazy. Appreciate that. All right. Let's see. Cody says, Bowman a good sleeper today? I actually have not mentioned Bowman, and I have not gotten a question about Bowman. I do think he's a decent sleeper today. He's been good at the 1.5s, but the guy just does not get good finishes. He fades away or he gets into an incident. So let's look at his numbers. I think this tells a funny story here. So he's got an average finish of 18.8, but he's got an average running position of half that at 9.4. That just goes to show you he runs well most of the race, but he either fades or gets into an incident. I mean, that's a pretty drastic difference in average finish and average running position. He also has 35.8 laps led per race, which I believe is the second most, only behind Kevin Harvick. Also 9.3 fast laps per race, but he is not one top 5 or not one top 10. So he runs well, but something, he's kind of like Eric Jones, where he kind of screws it up at the end. Sometimes it's not his fault, sometimes it is, but I don't know. But he's fine for tournaments. Michael says, feel like every week is Chalk City, doesn't it? It seems like it's never been like this. I mean, maybe it has, but this year alone just seems like there's just been so much chalk. It's just the way DraftKings is pricing guys now, and I don't know, the starting positions with the random draw feels pretty chalky every week, to be honest. Natalie says, what about Kurt starting top 5? Kurt's actually a solid option. He is starting third, but I do like the price at $7,900, and he has been good at the 1.5s this year. He's got 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and if you're looking at his numbers at Texas, he has 5 top 10s here the past 6 races. He's actually pretty good. He's got a 100.2 driver rating, average finish of 8.5. The problem is he's going to move back some spots. If he finishes top 3, I'll be very shocked, but I think he finishes anywhere from like 5th to 10th. You're just going to have to hope he picks up some fast laps. Maybe he gets up front, but I can't see him passing Blaney or Almirola, and I can't really see him holding off Harvick. So you're kind of just hoping he hangs on and maybe picks up some fast laps, but he's in a top spot starting third. If he was like starting 8th through 12th, I think he'd be one of the better plays in the slate, but it's kind of in a tough spot here, but he's solid. He should get a good finish. Andrew says, McDowell all day. That's me being serious. And McDowell's pretty safe today. I mean, he's starting 34th. Should contend for a top 20, top 25. So he's a good option. Let's see. Kyle says, Penske stack to be different. So you're looking at Blaney, Logano, and Keselowski. Blaney's not different at all, but Logano and Keselowski would be, and I can't see a lot of people playing all three in the same lineup, so that's definitely different. I'm not against it. Dave says, I think they're better plays than Kurt, Natalie. I agree, there is better plays. If you're trying to get unique, you can roll Kurt out and hope he has one of his best races of the season, though. Jason says Reddick and Austin Dillon or Bell, Nemechek, and Cash. I'm going to go with Reddick and Dillon there. Kellen says 360 people in the chat, only 65 likes. Come on, y'all. Get this man some SEO. Appreciate that. Kellen, how many likes are we at? We're at 176, so we're doing good. We're doing good. Gilbert says, I already have Dillon and McDowell. Need Cash play below 8K. So you have Dillon, McDowell. Cash play below 8K. Tyler Reddick's your best option there. Says, is Suarez still trash? Yes, he is trash. If you guys don't know, he's not in the 41 car anymore. He is in the 96, which is super slow. He's got an average running position this season in that car of 30th. Or like 29.7, 8, something like that. He's slow. Very, very slow. He's going to move up like 7 spots, but yeah. Tony says LaJoy or Nemechek. LaJoy's a bit safer, but Nemechek can honestly contend for a top 20. If you're looking at his numbers this season at the 1.5s, he's got an average running position of 21.8 compared to 26.6 for LaJoy. So, all right. Did I just catch up to the chat? I might have. I think that's the first time I ever caught up to the chat, or unless my chat's not loading, I have no idea. But if you guys don't have any more questions, let me check. Oh, okay, never mind. My chat wasn't working. All right, disregard what I said. There was a lot more questions. Let me pop the chat back out. You guys were not done asking questions. I thought that was weird. I was like, we have 400 people here and there's no more questions. All right. Going back to the spreadsheet. Okay. Popping chat back out. Give me a second. It's loading. All right. We're good. Let me scroll back up. Okay. We are at... I don't even know where I... Okay, there's a lot of questions. Let's see. Go Luckman says, who's your top 2 drivers? I mean, just like up top, Harvick and Truex, but honestly, Harvick and Blaney going to be some of the best plays today. Let's see. Oh, Juliana's in here. 201 likes. You deserve 4. Appreciate that. Juliana's my girlfriend. Thanks for stopping by. She makes her own lineups. She does pretty good for the most part. She almost took down a tournament one time, but yeah, she does good. So wish her luck today. Tim says, just getting in here, how do you feel about Custer? That team ran really well here at both Texas races last year. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that a couple of times. I think Custer should contend for a top 15. It's just, don't love his price tag in his starting spot, but I mean, I think he's better than Suarez for the most part. So I think Custer's fine for tournaments. He's a good tournament option. All right, I'm going to try scrolling back up to see if I missed any. Well, I did miss a lot, so let's see. All right, it's not going to load anything before Bobby Meets World says, I really like Harvick. So if I miss something, ask it again. I'll try to answer it. Dustin says, will Elliott be scored from the back? He will not. He will be scored from his original starting spot. So he's going to have to work his way back up like Truex did last week. Brandon says, should take chance on Eric Jones. I'm going to be taking some chances on Eric Jones. He's a pretty good play today. Conscious says Harvick could crash. Yeah, anyone can crash. You can't project wrecks unless we're talking about Dega and Daytona. That just always happens. Every time. I mean, it's not going to be a clean race for the most part. But if I could project wrecks here, we'd be living on our own islands. But we can try our best. Michael says, why no FanDuel? You get a lot of questions on FanDuel. Maybe worth jumping into. Just another back for the $1 on your Patreon. It's just something I've not gotten into. Maybe next year I'll consider doing some FanDuel. I know Draftkings is way more popular with NASCAR. I don't think a ton of people play FanDuel NASCAR, but if there's demand for it, maybe I do. But you guys were agreeing. Jack says, what are the odds that the other bad at stream... Oh. I'm sorry, I don't understand that one. GQ says, I don't know why people treat FanDuel like a stepchild in DFS. I just don't play it. I'm not a big fan of the format, but... Evan says, never mind, Elliot and Reed Swords and failed inspection twice. Well, Don't care about Sorensen, but isn't Sorensen starting 40th? Yeah, okay, so he's not really moving. But yeah, Elliot. I mean, it hurts him a little bit. I mean, I wasn't really expecting him to lead the first stage anyway, so he's going to move his way back up, but it'll probably lower his ownership quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but a little bit. Let's see. Jack says in YouTube is named Chris Durrell. Well, not really sure, but Rattle says, what do you think of Kurt Busch? Kurt Busch is like only a tournament option for me. You can't play him in cash game starting third. There's just better PD options, but Kurt's pretty good at Texas is the thing. I think he could contend for a top 5 at the end of the day, but more so a top 10. I mean, you're going to lose spots here. I think there's better plays, but if you want to get unique, play some Kurt Busch, maybe like 10, 15%. I think that's fine. Kurt Busch or Boyer? I'm going to go with Boyer there. It's just safer play. Albert says 7,900. Below 7,900, Reddick. Unless you already had Reddick, but Boyer, Reddick, they're all decent options right there. My dad says, have 50K left. Who do I pay for? Everybody. Harvick, those kind of guys. Concha says, Suarez loves the heat. Does he? I have no idea. Jason says, do you play fantasy on NASCAR site? If so, who you like? I do not play fantasy on the NASCAR site, so I can't really be of much help there. So no idea how that works. Kicks Good says Suarez's car is awful. It's pretty bad. It's really bad. Like this season at these types of tracks, he's got an average drive rating of 41. That's horrendous. That's a tick above. No, I'm sorry. That's not a tick above LaJoy. It's about 8 points off LaJoy, and that's barely above guys like McLeod and Sorensen. That's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Conscious, snip that clip all in on Balicki. Do not record that. It was a joke. Trey says, any love for Truex? Love Truex today. I think he's a really good option. Starting 10th, great at the 1.5, second in average green flag speed. Last week at Kentucky, top 3 overall this season, 1.5s. Makes a lot of sense. Nicholas says, Elliott to the back. Who do we pivot to? Well, do not just dismiss Elliott because he's going to the back. You guys saw that with Truex last week. The guys that are in good cars can move up, and I did not expect Elliott to lead laps early on. I think that's what Blaney and Almirola are going to do. So maybe you lower him a little bit, but if you don't feel comfortable with Elliott, just pivot to Truex, 400 more, or you could go down to guys like Logano and Keselowski. But Elliott going to the back doesn't change too much for me. He's going to have a fast car. He should move up pretty quick. Let's see. I got to scroll down a little bit, guys, because we have about 5 more minutes, and let's see. I apologize if I don't see your message, but I got to scroll down a bit. My dad says, gotta go. Thanks, Chris. And go Hamlin. Awesome. Thanks for stopping in, Dad. He's a big Hamlin fan. Let's see. Gilbert says, best cash play below 8K. I have McDowell and Dillon already. I would go with Tyler Reddick there. Paw Dave says, Truex team trying to cheat. Hey, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. For sure. FE says, who didn't pass Tech and going to the back? So the chat told me Reed Sorensen and Chase Elliott. I have not been on Twitter to check, but I'm going to believe in you guys that you're not trolling. So those 2 guys. Kicks Good says, so Chase and Truex starting in the rear? I don't think Truex is going to the rear, is he? Who said Truex is going to the back? I have not heard that Truex is going to the back. If he is, please let me know, but I don't think he is. But again, it would not really change my thoughts on Truex, really, if he was. But I don't think he is. Let me know, though. Let me know, please. Sorry, where are we at? Okay, Dom says, I'm playing DK and have 8,200 in salary. Don't know who to pick. Did you play Almirola yet? If you didn't play Almirola, I'd go with Almirola. If not, if you did, Byron's at 8K. I like Byron. Also like Reddick at 7,800. I gotta scroll all the way down and see if Truex is going to the back. Pockgrass says Elliott and Sorensen. Yeah, I have not heard Truex. Oh, they got mistaken about Truex when you compared him with Elliott. Okay, yeah, Truex not going to the back as far as I know. Not going to the back. Sorry if that was confusing to you guys. Let's see. Where are we at? JJ says, got here late, Jimmy Johnson. I like Johnson today. He's a good play. Starting 20th. He's a little bit expensive, and Bell's a better play at 33rd. But Johnson was in 3rd last week when he got spun by Brad Keselowski, or at least right around there in the restart. So he's a good option. He's expensive, but he's average finish inside the top 10 this year at the 1.5s. Serve says, can we fade Harvick? I mean, you can. You're going to be sweating it because this is his track. But you can. It's just I'd recommend at least having some Harvick. Let's see. Again, sorry if I don't see your chat, guys. I didn't realize how many questions there was on here. My chat wasn't loading earlier. Marcus says, who do you think will be the final top 3 drivers? That's a fun question. I think Harvick, Truex, and Blaney is your top 3 today. That's what I think. That's what I feel. Harvick, Blaney, Truex. I'm not sure what the order is. Probably Harvick in first, but I like that. Let's see. Okay, Mark says, it's been great watching your videos, Chris, and you are a great Twitter follow. So when you go to the back, you have great upside as far as position, right? Okay, that's what you would think, but DraftKings will keep their starting spot. So Elliott's being qualified 8th today. He's going to the back. That does not mean he's going to be scored at 40th. It means he's going to be scored from 8th. Sorry, I was looking at Discord really quick, but it means he was going to be scored from 8th. So it means he's going to start with negative points, but he's going to work his way back up. So Chase Elliott does not become a good place differential play, but he's still going to be fine. All right, I got to skip around a little bit. Garrett says, did you talk about Bowman? Bowman's fine for tournaments. He's good at these 1.5 mile tracks, but the thing is, he gets extremely unlucky or he fades. So he just fades really hard. So he's got an average finish of 18.8 at the 1.5s this season, but he's got an average running position of half that at 9.4. I mean, it just goes to show you how far off his average is. How unlucky he's been getting, or just kind of screwing it up late. Like if we compare that to Blaney's got an average finish of 5.2, but he's got an average running position of 5.9. I mean, that's pretty close. Most of these guys are going to be pretty close. Like Elliott, average finish of 10th, average running position of 6.6. It's pretty close, but Bowman's got a pretty drastic difference there. So he's a big wild card kind of guy. He's kind of a hard guy to project because you'd expect him to do well because he does run well at these types of tracks, but the guy just can't get a good finish. I mean, no top 5s, no top 10s at these, so, All right, I'm not going to be here too much longer, guys. It's past 1 o'clock. I still got to make my lineups. And I got to post that, not my lineups on Patreon, but I post my GBP exposures and my notes, so I got to work out on that. But Mark said he lost signal, so I'm going to cut you a break there and answer your question. So what do you think starting lineup? DK Harvick, Logano, Kyle Busch, Ty Dillon, Nemechek? It's fine. I'm not huge on Busch today or Logano. They're good tournament options. I'm not the highest on them, but I think it's a fine lineup. You got 3 studs, which could obviously lead a lot of laps. And you got Austin Dillon, could contend for a top 10, top 15 today. Ty Dillon, Nemechek, it's fine, but all right. All right, I think I'm going to get out of here, guys. If you guys have any really important questions. Okay, wait. I'll answer you, Joel. McDowell and Nemechek or Austin Dillon and Priest? I like the Austin Dillon side, but I don't really like Priest today, so I'm going to side with McDowell and Nemechek. But all right, wish everyone the best of luck. If I didn't see your question, it's nothing personal. I unfortunately can't answer all of these questions. I wasn't expecting that much people in the chat today, but I do appreciate everyone stopping by. We got baseball coming back soon. I'll be doing baseball videos, so we have that to look forward to. But I hope you guys have a good race. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Appreciate all the likes, and I guess I'll see you guys in this. Sorry. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't play anyone under 5K today for the last question I saw. Don't play anyone down there. All right. See you guys. Appreciate everyone stopping by. And see you.